Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What's a story where the bad guys are actually completely 100% right, to the point where it's weird the story keeps calling him the bad guys? Not so much a bad guy as he was an antagonist, but Iceman was totally right about Maverick in Top Gun. In real life, pilots do not choose their own call sign, their squadron mates do. If his squadron mates called him Maverick, he's an asshole who does things that put people at risk. One of the biggest tells that someone writing about the military without doing much homework is them giving all the characters cool, badass nicknames. I always come into these threads to say this. TOPGUN isn't a competition, it's an instructor course to teach pilots how to be training officers. The ethos is to be humble, credible, approachable. Being a dangerous and cocky hotshot who constantly breaks row will flunk you. ETA, I actually know a former CF-18 pilot who won the real-life Top Gun trophy from the William Tell International Fighter Competition, and he is about the furthest thing from Maverick you could get. Incredibly switched-on pilot, but even more focused on being supportive as a teammate and leader to get the most out of everyone, and just generally a very kind and gentle person. Being a dangerous and cocky hotshot who constantly breaks ROE your ego writing checks that your body can't cash will flunk you. FTFY. Dennis the Menace. The older I get, the more I sympathize with Mr. Wilson. Get off my lawn, you little shit. The dude in B movie. He had his girlfriend stolen by a bee. He committed the crime of being clinically sane in a comedy. Thomas the Tank Engine, Day of the Diesels. The diesel engines rebel because they've been totally neglected and all they get is a lecture about being jerks. Also the sad story of Henry. Henry doesn't want to be a slave anymore, so they brick him up into a tunnel and rip up the tracks. John Oliver did a whole bit on this. It was so fucked up. The older I get, the more I realize that the mean parents were 100% justified. Baby's dad in Dirty Dancing was actually a decent guy. He still helped that girl after her botched abortion. No one corrected him when he assumed who the father was. What dad wants his teenage daughter seeing an older man who he thinks just got another girl pregnant? Also, the fact that Baby did not hesitate to wake up her dad to attend to Penny suggests that she had a strong, trusting bond with her father. Also, the way he snatched that check back from dickhead waiter. Also, the way he immediately apologized to Johnny when he learned the truth. I rewatched DD recently, and now that I'm a father of a teenage girl myself, if some older dude that I thought had gotten another young girl pregnant came up to me during a dinner and tried to pull that "nobody puts baby in a corner" bullshit with me, it'd be a DEFCON 5 level throwdown right then and there. The audacity of that motherfucker. Edit, hey, I never said that I'd actually win that fight. Second edit, actually, I'm not conceding that easily. And bear in mind that I mean no disrespect to Swayze and love him as an actor. But just for the sake of argument, at the time DD came out, Swayze was 35 years old, 5 feet 10 inches, and weighed 180 pounds. I'm 48, 5 feet 11 inches and weigh 220. Swayze's background is in martial arts and classical ballet. Mine is in wrestling. We both played football in high school. Reddit, could I win this fight? I don't disagree with you, but DEFCON 5 is the lowest level of DEFCON. And 16 candles. No, you are not skipping your sister's wedding to go to a party with a boy who lets other boys rape his girlfriend in exchange for helping him cheat on her. Wait, what? Disney's Little Mermaid movie is 100% this. Everybody told the naive 16-year-old not to go to a different land to marry a total stranger she hadn't even talked to a single time. Her friends told her, her dad told her, even the witch told her exactly what was going to happen and that it was a terrible idea. But no, her dad grounded her for being an absolute moron, so he's the bad guy. The only genuinely bad guy in that movie is Ariel's missing IQ. You don't even know him. Neither do you. Yeah, I fucking hate The Little Mermaid for this reason. Like, maybe Triton should have handled the secret cubby of human goodies situation better, but literally everything else in that movie is a direct result of Ariel being the ocean's dumbest 16-year-old. Oh, shit, your dad was a dick. Let's go talk to the creepy sea witch. I'm sure this won't have any horrible consequences. Girl, he is trying to eat your best friend. Like, chew and swallow. Red flag. The insurers requiring additional proof of safety at Jurassic Park. The lawyer in the book is a total Chad. The book's plot is quite different from the film. The concept is the same, but characters are very different. Book John Hammond is a raging asshole who can be directly blamed for everything that went wrong. Book Dennis Nedry had been blackmailed into working for Ingen and was paid basically nothing for doing the work of 10 people. The movie was a family adventure movie meant to provide excitement. The book was a harsh critic of callous capitalism. Pierce Brosnan's character in Mrs. Doubtfire. They make it seem like he's not there for the right reasons, but there's not a time he does something wrong he's even nice to Mrs. Doubtfire when alone. Honestly, the only thing he does that's even mildly jerkish is calling the dad a loser in a private conversation with a friend at a bar, which I mean, if the only thing you knew about your SO's ex was that he quit his job as a voice actor because they wanted him to read a script he didn't like and then proceeded to throw a huge lavish birthday party for their son that got the cops called, complete with farm animals that wrecked the house, it would be totally fair to think he was a loser. He even handles the reveal rather calmly and respectfully. Most people would lose their shit if they found out their SO's ex was dressing up as an old woman to spy on the family. Jack and the Beanstalk. First, he irresponsibly trades in his mother's cow for some beans. Then he steals a bunch of shit from the giant, who he then murders. Jack is an asshole. Edit. Most of you understood what I was trying to say here, so thank you. For those who didn't, I was actually trying to defend the giant as not a bad guy. The first should have been more clear. And yes, I know this does not apply to all versions of the story, some actually depict him as a more evil character. And then Jack chopped down what was the world's last beanstalk, adding murder and ecological terrorism to the theft, enticement, and trespass charges already mentioned, and all the giant's children didn't have a daddy anymore. Hogfather. Sarah Silverman character in School of Rock. Jack Black is a sponge who takes advantage of her fiancé. He then steals his identity and puts his whole career at risk, but then she calls the police. She's portrayed as some kind of major asshole. God, I love this movie, but it is funny how differently you view it as a kid versus adult. Lol. Of course, as a kid you would have loved being in his class, but as an adult you can't stop thinking about how he doesn't even keep track of any of the kids. He drives them around in his beat to hell van, which is already creepy as it is, but like, if he gets into an accident, the school's liability insurance probably won't cover any damages, but it's all cool because Jack Black teaches the students to find their inner rock gods, and to accept themselves, or whatever, haha. As a 31Y0 who works in risk management, it's not even a question whose side I'm on, lol. As a substitute teacher, I totally get why the principal freaked out at him. We can't have random people with fake IDs working with the kids. They could be a sex offender for all we know. I still think her character is toxic. However, Jack Black's character is definitely the villain of the movie, and everything she says about him is 100% true. The toxic part is her dynamic with her boyfriend. On the other hand, the boyfriend is also a spineless doormat to both her and JB. I like that he got a scene where he finally stood up to her, but I wish they would have included one where he finally gave JB an ultimatum to get his shit together and stop freeloading. I think the point was JB's character was a shitty, underhanded, useless piece of shit who grew out of his shitty ways. I don't think his friend needed to give JB's character an ultimatum because JB's character grew by the end of the movie. Sarah Silverman's character was fully right in that JB was a freeloading mooch that could have screwed the boyfriend's life over, but she was also not a nice person and very controlling. The Jungle Book. Shere Khan didn't want the man cub around because he'll set the jungle on fire. By the end of the story, what does Mowgli do? Set the jungle on fire. That was the ironic tragedy of it though. Most adults in kids' movies. How dare you say chocolate isn't a good breakfast? School is literally child internment camps. How dare you dictate my sleep schedule? What the hell are you thinking, having a social life? Not letting your kids fight aliens, monsters, terrorists is a hate crime. Magneto was right. First Class cracks me up because the movie keeps telling you that he's the villain, but I too would kill the Nazi that killed my mother! Exclamation mark. The reason he's considered more a villain is because he blames all of humanity for its treatment of mutants and wants to go to war with them. Killing the Nazi was seen as bad because Charles felt everything he did as it happened, which is a shitty thing to do to your supposed best friend. Magneto is a weird one because early in the comics he's legit a mustache-twirling villain. Like, try to nuke people because I think I'm superior to them, in his first appearance, if I'm remembering correctly. Over time he became more of an anti-hero and often an outright hero, but this question really depends on what version of Magneto we're talking about. 28 weeks later. Firebomb that kid. God, that movie pissed me off. The first person ever to survive infection and they don't even put guards on her room. Why the fuck did what's-his-name have access to quarantine? That movie was so goddamn dumb. I get it, people are morons. But you have a military complex with something as lethal as the rage virus. And a fucking janitor can mop his way in to trigger a cascade failure. Fuck you, writers. God, that plot was dumb. Totally killed any interest I have in this next film. That movie was so goddamn dumb. I get it, people are morons. But you have a military complex with something as lethal as the rage virus. Living through 2020 plus has convinced me that the reactions of people and leadership in zombie movies don't go far enough into willful stupidity. Real life is worse. The Wicked Witch of the West was certainly nasty, but on the other hand, just wanted her dead sister's shoes. That bitch Glinda comes floating in her bubble and steals the shoes off a fresh corpse, and when the dead woman's sister wants the only thing that survived a house falling on them, Glinda's like, they must be powerful because she wants them so bad. No, you just denied a grieving woman an heirloom that belonged to her sister, you absolute monster. Glinda's the real villain of The Wizard of Oz. Not to mention that Dorothy had the power to go home the whole time, but this info wasn't divulged to her until she essentially completed a hit mission on the Wicked Witch. Oh, you wouldn't have believed me. You're a witch that flew here in a bubble talking to a girl who just had her house fly in a tornado and land in a Technicolor wonderland. I think she'd have at least given it a shot. On top of taking out the Wicked Witch, Dorothy's actions also led to ousting the wizard from power. I wonder who's gonna fill that power vacuum.